1.
Hello everyone, welcome to Ed Talk TV, conversations worth having. Today is a big one. Okay, so I have to ask you guys if you could please share this out. Micki, I'm going to go ahead and pop this into that event that you created. For those who are brand new, this is how much fun it is having tech and trying to be ahead of everyone else in terms of the the technology and bringing a talk show to Facebook Live. So Micki, I'm going to go ahead and pop this in just for your friends there and let them know. Anybody who shared out the last broadcast, please be sure to share this one out. I'm back. Thank you guys for hanging tight. I know how frustrating that is. I will tell you, okay, so I'm going to be honest with you guys because this is live and it's a talk show. Like, that's what we do. It is so frustrating to be ready to go. Like, I have the whole setup. I got the light ready. I mean, today is the best lighting so far. I have the camera. I have everything set up, you guys, because I want this to be as professional as possible. And it's just been a mess lately, right? It's outside my hands because I can't fix Facebook. I can't fix anything in that sense. But what I want you to see is that you just keep moving forward, right? And when you have a good following, a strong following like you guys, even if you're watching the replay, you still come in and you show up and you deliver, right? I'm going to go ahead and paste this link here so I can get that retake here. See? And then you just keep going. And so here's the other thing that frustrates me is I don't like wasting people's time. And I know that we only get a few seconds for new people to show up who are like, who's this Ed guy? Oh, he doesn't have his stuff together, like bounce by. It's one of those things that it will drive me crazy. But hey, we have to just go for it, right? You got to reframe it. Yes, Erica. Yes. So if you guys don't know, Erica has a book called Reframe It. Boom, there you go. You can connect with her in the comments. Welcome back. Thank you, Vicky. Yes. So we're just going to start fresh. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please be sure to share and comment. This is a talk show about business, tech, and the user experience. I won't go through all the other crazy stuff. I am going to put back in the comments, though, this clip from yesterday's podcast interview where Arlene, who was a guest on our show, she interviewed me for her new podcast called What's Your Next Move? And I'm going to go ahead and pop that link right there in the comments for you. And hey, welcome. Yeah, we were just waiting for you. Yep. So I'm going to pop that in the comments. Take a listen to that if you haven't yet already. It's a great podcast. Arlene has an awesome new show, and I was fortunate enough to be on the show and be interviewed and really share a lot more with you guys. I'm also going to pop back into the comments there and drop that one last link there for you, so then that way you have it, because that's the important one. That's the official edtalktv.com website, as well as the official hashtag, as well as if you are trying to join the Check with Ed monthly subscription plan, there it is for you as well. Perfect. All right, cool. So we're going to kind of like speed through things because I want to make sure we get our guests on here. But today we are going to jump into it, and we're going to be able to, I think, yeah, I did label this. Okay, cool. I'll go back and tag you, Micki. Don't worry. But here's the thing, you guys. When you go live, you just go live. You just got to do it. And you think of your resources, like I had my phone ready for backup. I almost did go the phone route, but then I realized I couldn't bring my guest on. So then what I had to do, here's a quick troubleshooting. Okay, this is the quick troubleshooting, but I want you guys to write this down. And I want you to make note. Are you guys ready for this? Because even if you're watching the replay, this will save you probably, I'll be generous and I'll say 95% of the time, this tip will save you when it comes to tech and having glitches. Are you guys ready? Let me know in the comments if you're ready. Even if you're watching the replay viewers, you still count, you show up, and I want you to deliver and engage. So be sure, even if you're watching the replay, to let us know who you are, let us know if this is your first time, how you found us, all of that good stuff. But here's the deal. Perfect. We're starting to see ready. Yes. Awesome. So get your pen and paper. Make a little mental note if you have to, because you're on the phone and you want to watch me and you don't want to leave. 95%, I'm being generous, 95% of the time, if you do this one thing, you will probably solve your tech problems. And that one thing is force quitting the app or just shutting down. Right? You picking that up? Picking up what I'm laying down? All you have to do is force quit/quit your program. So what happened with my Ecamm Live, because that's the program I'm using to have all of this fanciness here, is it messed up. There's something that happened, something dropped with Facebook. It could have been Facebook, Ecamm Live, who knows. Long story short, the first thing I did was grab my phone because I thought, okay, I'll jump on that. But then I realized I couldn't bring on my guests. And so then I said, okay, let me quit my app, which I have a Mac, so I have to force quit it. So I force quit the app and I brought it right back up. Boom, it worked. Boom. Hashtag EdTalkTV. There you go. So that's your tip. That will save you so much time, so much stress as well. So if you don't know, Erica got way too familiar with that on her 2008 iMac, which she had up until recently. So there's that. So welcome everyone. Jump into the comments, engage with each other. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guests because I want to get this party started. Because we've had enough of the pre-partying. So let's go ahead and flip over our screen. Let's give our guests a call, and let's just keep things moving. I'm such a goof. I love that noise. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Can you see me?
I can see you and I can hear you.
Awesome sauce.
How is everything?
Good. What a great day. It's so beautiful. I know we're all in Southern California. Well, not we all, but you and me.
Yes.
Well, it's California anyway.
Yes.
And so it's gorgeous. It's a great day.
Love it. And so let people know who you are, because there's some people here that have been hanging out with us in the comments all the time and know you, but then there's going to be new people that check in and out of the show. So let people know who you are.
Sure. My name is Micki Webb, Mickey like the mouse, just in case you hear Nikki or Vicky. I don't spell it quite the same, but it always helps people understand what I said. Micki like the mouse, Webb. And I am a special education consultant. And I just started my consulting practice after 18 years in special education in the school district setting, the traditional setting where we work in that field. And I just started it really officially in, October or so. I left the formal employment setting in July with the full intent, I'll get another full-time gig. That's what I'll do. And yeah, God was like, so no, that's not what you're going to do. And then people were telling me, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. But you know how you just resist the call?
Yep.
I was like, I just want to go work and go home. But that wasn't the vision. And so I finally went with the vision. Not finally. It was all still pretty quick, actually. Went with the vision, and here I am. I'm a full-time special education consultant and loving it.
I love that. And we're going to dive a little deeper here in just a second. But it's really interesting how you mentioned that, because I will say, you guys, when you go listen to that podcast episode that I dropped in the comments, you will see that connection there too, in terms of, having the calling, going towards something, but then realizing, no, you really need to go somewhere else. Like, you got to all in and just go and give it your best and then see what happens. And that's what I love that you just mentioned that.
Yeah, you really do have to be fearless. In fact, not just for business ownership, but I think really just in life. I do believe it's possible to die without fulfilling your purpose. I think it's probably one of the saddest things that can happen to a person. And I think it happens when we just won't be fearless. Because your purpose will always be a little scary.
Oh, sure.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It'll always be a little scary for whatever that purpose is for you. Anyway.
For sure. Yeah. And so let's kind of like start towards the basics there. Like, how did you make that transition from your full-time job? Because, let me back up, I guess, and ask audience members, how many of you, even if you're watching the replay, have your own business? And if you do, what kind of business is it? Is it a consulting business? Are you doing, retail? Like, what are you doing? Let us know in the comments, even if you're watching the replay. But how did you get started? Like, you had that calling, but how did you really get started from there?
Yeah, great question. I actually, if I kind of flash way back, I grew up with a father who owned a business, so that wasn't a weird idea to me. I saw him work full time and own a business overlapping, like many of us do when we first start out to business ownership. And I saw him do that for many years, and then eventually, of course, left the full-time gig behind, and I saw him run a company, and it was kind of my play area, go to his shop, so to speak. He owned a sprinkler repair and installation company, so I'd go to his shop and I'd sort like materials that came in as a kid and play with all the pipes and make a hot mess for him to clean up. And then as I got older, I was kind of like the bookkeeper during summers and stuff. So that idea was not foreign to me. And then at one point, I actually ran a company with my now ex-husband, but he still runs that company. We started it together. He still runs it. It's very lucrative, very successful 23 or so years later. So I had that in my background. But I really thought, guys, that it was in my background. Because, it's not easy running a company. It's not all, days at the beach with your laptop. You're the bookkeeper, right? You're the HR, you're the marketing, you're the service delivery person. You're all of the things in all of the company for a minute until you get to where you know what to outsource and can afford to outsource and all of that. So I thought, I won't be doing that again. I'm good. I'm gonna do the safe gig, and then I decided to leave that one gig back in July, again, with the full idea that I'm going to get the next gig. That's what I'm going to do. And I like to say, looking back, I was everybody's second best date. They were like, oh, you were so good. But this other candidate spoke Spanish fluently, not más o menos, como tú. Or you were so great, but we just had an internal person who happened to already really have their eye on this spot. Oh, we almost picked you. And so it really started getting like all of the signals in the universe were like, no,
right.
no. And then people started saying, why don't you start another company? Why don't you did it before. Why don't you? And then ultimately what happened was I really thought, okay, well, what are the parts I loved about what I did? What if I built a company around the parts of my role in that employment gig that I loved? I loved doing professional development, building capacity. I loved consulting on cases, case by case, special ed, this kiddo, that kiddo, here's what we need to do, that kind of thing. And so I started kind of side gigging, right? Just doing that. And then I came across who's now I consider my business mentor. You guys may have heard of her, Nicole Walters, NicoleWalters.tv. Holla, shout out.
Yeah.
And I signed up for her program, 1K one day, and I knew this is it. And I haven't looked back. And that was just in October. But guys, here's the thing. I implemented like a crazy woman, like a crazy crackhead. I was like, she said, build a website. I don't know WordPress. I'm crying. I don't know what to do. I'm like trying to check with Ed. How do I make I mean, it was hard, right? You know, it was painful.
Yep.
But she said, do that. I'm going to do that. She said, get Grasshopper for your phones to get answered. I'm going to do that. Because I knew that I needed to do the millennium business model, I call it.
Oh, okay.
Right? It's not the same as 23 years ago, building a business, when it was like memorandums and fax machines.
Yeah.
This is very different. It's social media, it's video, it's websites, it's networking, it's people who are influencers, and all of these different buzzwords where we were like paradigm shift, you know, in the 90s. Now it's influencers and disruption, and I needed to catch up quick.
Yeah.
So I took that course and executed, and here I am.
I love
loving it.
Yeah, and I love that because there's a few things that you mentioned in there that you made. You reflected on what you loved about the different parts of the business and what you really connected with, which is huge, you guys. I cannot tell you, and again, making the comparison, you will see this or hear this in the podcast episode, but that's exactly what I had talked about too, is that you have to make that time to reflect. You have to see, what do you like? What do you not like? What are you good at? What do you not want to do? Because it's important for you to set the foundation there, right?
Absolutely. I wouldn't have done it. I know that I wouldn't have been able to execute the way that I did if I were focusing outside of my passion, right? So I took the strategies that we learned from that mentor, the low-hanging fruit. Yeah. What can you make money on today? And then the customer mapping. What's your entry-level product? What's your mid-level product? Where are you trying to take the customer to? How can you have that customer relationship and serve them for life? So yes. I couldn't have played that out and done the work to do that if I were trying to do it from maybe a part of the business that I didn't love. Like for instance, lots of people said to me, you should be a special ed advocate. You should go to IEPT meetings and represent the parent and the child and advocate for what the district isn't doing right, you know, and I had the head knowledge, but not the passion for that piece. I knew I was a district. How can we serve the kiddo? Yeah. How can we individualize things? What resources and capacity do we need as a school district to serve the kiddo? And I knew that's where my loyalty and my passion was, and that I couldn't, just because that would have been on paper an easier startup.
Right.
Say, I would have had an immediate customer list. I know that because I already had a few people. Can you go to my kid's IEP? Can you? But I knew that that's not my calling. That's someone else's. It's a legitimate role and it's important, but it's not mine. So I had to focus on, what do I love to do? The part of my day that I always loved was doing PD for the teams that support the kids with disabilities, helping them build their capacity and consulting case by case. And so I went with that.
See, that's really cool. And that's what I want you guys as a viewer to pay attention to, is you are making your list and then you're following your passion. Like, you're not just going with whatever sounds good or looks good on paper, like, because you're in it for a long time, right?
Yep. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's great work because it's your passion. And so you endure kind of with more of a smile the all-nighters than you did when, you know, you had to do the part that wasn't your passion as well. Like when you're when you're employed by someone else, right? You don't get to pick and choose. It's so much. And kind of going back to what we said, certainly building the infrastructure, you don't always get to pick and choose either, unless you have some great funding source. You're on that shoestring startup budget. So yeah, I don't love bookkeeping. If I never opened QuickBooks again, I'd be happy. Yeah. But that day will come. That will simply be one of the first things I outsource. Yes. But for now, that's what I'm doing. But I'm getting to do the part that I just love probably 80% of the day.
Which is awesome.
It helps me smile through the rest.
Yeah. And so, okay, so you decided to finally go out on your own. Now, remind me and everyone watching, are you completely out on your own now? Just completely?
Yep.
Perfect.
Completely. 100%. And it's because I started with that low-hanging fruit of what can I sell tomorrow. When Nicole said that, I knew like, oh, that's critical. What could I sell tomorrow? Like, what do I know I could capitalize on? And so I started doing school psychology. I'm a school psychologist.
Okay.
So I started doing school psychology cases, revisiting that practice. It's a practice I loved when I did it, but then I moved into administration, and I loved that as well. But I revisited that and started doing that piece because it was a quick way to get money coming in the door, still doing something I loved, super huge networking opportunity because I'm all up in the school sites.
Yeah.
Right? Psyching the kids, as I call it, supporting their teams, doing that piece. And it's just a natural sell. It's so natural then to talk about, oh, you guys would like some PD? Well, I'm launching an online course, right? Walking you to my mid-level product. And so now I have that in place. And then, of course, we'll do, memberships. And then I do the case-by-case consulting and coaching, people who are new to the profession, people who don't know quite how to, maybe they're moving from clinical service of people with disabilities into the school setting.
Sure.
They're not familiar with the laws and all of that. So coaching on the individual tip, those were kind of the things I could do tomorrow. And I literally sat down and I did exactly what the model was, Ed, and guys who are listening, which was I threw those ideas out by, Nicole happens to call it a coin collective, but whatever you want to call it, your think tank, your mentors, your people. But I sat down with people and said, so here's what I'm thinking I'll do. Thoughts, like poke holes in it, laugh at me. What do you want to show me the holes that I'm not seeing because I'm all passionate about it. And then I just started rolling that out right away. And of course, that got the money coming in and the clients and the networking coming in. And then I strategically did that customer mapping. And I feel like even now, guys, just so you know, I'm not like, oh, I got this. Right. I'm like Indiana Jones running from that boulder, right? I have my mid-level product. I don't have yet my full-on lifetime product, and I'm just trying to get that in place and structure before my mid-level product launch ends.
And that's
how it felt from the low-hanging fruit. I was like, hurry, Micki, build the mid-level product so you can move these people on to what they need next.
Yeah, and that's an important thing too. Whether you guys are just starting a business or already running one and are 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever years into it, it almost always feels like you're running from that boulder, right? Like it doesn't matter like how much you've put out, right? You're constantly thinking of that boulder, and that's a good thing. I mean, it's stressful. I mean, let's be honest.
Sure.
It's stressful, but it keeps you on your toes. This lighting is crazy right now, you guys.
Yeah, you're like an angel.
I'm like trying to get out of the glow. There's this whole thing that it really comes down to understanding that you have to map things out, pen and paper, map it out, and it takes time. Like you're going to want to have it work right now and have it done by tomorrow, but it doesn't happen that way. Like, what year are you in business? I forget.
This is my first year in business, but
for this one.
Yeah, first year in business, but having built a business years ago and 18 years in this profession. To get the knowledge, that's the other thing. Sometimes I'll chat with colleagues who are kind of like, well, I want to be a life coach or a business coach or, make jewelry, but they don't have a background yet in that. So I'm not saying they got to put in 18 years. Come on now, but you do need to get some credibility. You need to get some experience in what you're going to go and show people how to do. Right. So that it works for them. So that when you go and show them or sell your thing, whatever it is to them, they're happy customers.
And
So
that's
that was critical.
yeah, and that's an important thing, is the knowledge that you acquired over the years. So whether or not you're just starting a business, that's a whole nother section over here. You've had a business prior, and you've had the years and years of experience that have led you to this. And I always forget who said this, but somebody once told me in actually one of my podcast episodes, they mentioned how I know you guys, this lighting's like, you don't even know, I'm like squirrel right now.
Can you even see?
I can see you guys just fine, but it's driving me crazy because it's like terrible lighting. I'm gonna see if I can fix that. No, but it's like trying to get to the right.
You just look very holy. You're very holy looking today. Oh, that's better.
There we go. Yeah. It's because I have the window right in front, and I thought I was good, and it wasn't. And now here I'm going to go green. Okay, so yes, it's that those years of experience that really, really come into play, and you have to understand that's. I was talking about the quote. See, you guys, I get distracted. You guys didn't remind me. I was talking about the quote that somebody said. An overnight success is 10 years in the making. And it's so true because we have to go through those trials. We have to go through what we would call an error, but it has to get us to that step. And we have to also go through and learn all of the different things that we like and don't like and how they work together, right?
Absolutely. And you know what was a critical step, and I knew that's what I needed to do with this, again, millennium business model, was, from that old movie, I don't know, something about baseball, if Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come, right? That?
Right.
And I kind of say about infrastructures, if you build it, they will stay. Because business infrastructures, if we don't have that piece, and that's before the glory of all the sales and the networking and the conferences where we rah-rah each other and say we're going to go get them and we have banners and all that, that's all good. But if we don't have the infrastructure, the painful, boring part for most of us, maybe for like some people, it's not so bad, Ed, like that website built, the virtual assistant, if we need that, someone to answer the phones, or maybe that's us, so a phone number forwarded to us, a business bank account, a tax ID number, an invoicing system, an accounting system, business cards, or whatever we're going to do to hand out to people, scannable things, or whatever it is. If we don't have that in place, we'll get a few sales because we're passionate and we have a knowledge or a gift, but we won't have a real funnel for them to go through. There's no map for their lifetime. There's no infrastructure set up to help that business grow and contain the growth and support the growth. And so that piece is so critical, and it's not the glory piece. It's not the fun piece.
and that's the thing. And for those of you tuning in, not knowing what a funnel is, basically just mapping out like how you're going to get from point A to point B. Think of it as a roadmap. Think of it as GPS. Like all of that stuff can be a funnel, and that's something that you want to start looking into if you haven't already. And, I'll put this question out just to anybody, and we may not have an answer for Erin, but just to put it out there, she wrote, I've been thinking about best ways to gain more credibility. 20 years in her previous field, she has 20 years of experience, but less than 3 in her current field. And that is a great question because a lot of us will have something similar. And I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm already thinking like, okay, well, out of that 20 years of experience, what can you pull from that can still tie into what you're currently doing now? And I don't know specifically how different the two are, but that's my first thought is having that. And then if they're completely different, and this is just for anybody for general purposes, if you have two totally different fields, because that can happen, right? Then what you want to do is you just want to educate yourself as much as possible from podcast episodes to Facebook Lives, to blog posts, to books, like all of those free, all of that free content, and just make time for it, right? It's hard because you don't want to cram things in, but you also want to make sure that you can kind of like go around the different areas.
Absolutely. And let that passion that we were talking about, let that drive you, because I know people who have been in a field for only 3 years who appear to know more than people I've met who've been in that field 10 or 15 years, but it's because that person on their 3rd year is still so passionate about it. They're doing exactly what you said. They listen to podcasts on it because it's what they like. They actually like that content. They're following people who have the same content. They're at a conference. They can't wait. They're asking their employer, can you fund me to go to this conference? It's only $200. Right. Da, da, da. Whereas, maybe that person they're even asking who's more seasoned, who might be the boss, so to speak, wouldn't go to a conference anymore. Yep. They're like, no, you don't need to go to that. Same thing, same day. Just, they might not say it that way, sure, but that's how their practice is. They've lost that passion. So just a few years is fine. Even a year could be fine. Yep. It's about how you package that and present that passion. You just don't necessarily have to say that number. If it's not an impressive number, like I'll say, I have, almost 2 decades in this industry.
Right.
Because, okay, that's impressive. If it was 1 year, I would just say, and I do this with certain things that I know a client needs that I know about, but I haven't done that part for 20 years or something. I'll say, I absolutely have experience supporting students with visual impairments.
Right.
I have done that. And I don't need to tell you it was 2 kids, but I learned a lot.
Right.
And I really love it, and I'm going to go back and do more research. Listen, people, I'm going to rock it better than the person you're going to find who was doing it for 5 years, because I love this. So you just package what you want them to know and lead with your passion. And it'll work.
Yes, and that is great advice. And Erin was telling us that it's her web design, which she used to have, business, and now with the positive parenting. So that is cool. And I know Erin, and if we've worked together before, that you have so much customer experience, customer service, like all of that can tie into the parenting part of it and being able to work with adults and kids, and you have your own kids as well. So there's a lot of things that you can pull from those different experiences that overlap. And I mean, working in web design business, you know how to handle customers. You know how to handle that intake process. You know that you're polling people, or will be, because we talked about that. And so hopefully those things will click, or something will spark there.
Yeah. Even, what I'm thinking of, Erica, for you is that connection between when we're parents and we're trying to address, especially us less techie, social media safety, internet etiquette, website guards, like the guards you can get, child safety. My son's 23, so we don't have to do a lot of that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Taking that technical background, and again, you might not call it to people who are your potential new clients website design, but a decade in the technological industry, so I can help you make sure your children are using social media appropriately, that they're safe, that they know how to use it, that I can teach you as a parent how to know what the jack they're doing online. I can see a thread that could go through that and make that experience very helpful for parents now.
Yeah, definitely. And Erin says thank you. Yeah, that's the stuff that we have to go through and kind of dive a little deeper, and we have to ask people, right? Like that was a perfect example. Like we have to be able to put ourselves out there and share that, because that's how we figure out what's going on, and have other people be that other person perspective there.
Yeah, that's that think tank, or checking in with your coin collective or your peeps, or being here engaging in conversations like this Oh my gosh, how many light bulbs do we get where we get off of, it's not even necessarily related to the theme of the topic per se,
Right.
but we leave like, oh, I'm going to read that book. Oh, I'm going to do that. I know you told us about a book the other day, like You Rock at Business, or You're a Badass Business Person or something.
You're a badass at making money. Yep.
Yeah, I need to read that book. So yeah, this is where we get those ideas to, it's hard to see that forest for the trees. We're the person. It's hard sometimes to know what
definitely.
should I be delivering, and sometimes what we think it should be, other outside voices can take that and give us an idea that helps us just tailor it and go, that's what it is.
Yes, totally. And we're getting close on time here, so I want to check in. Like, so any idea or tips that you would give somebody? We kind of talked about a little bit, but like any tips that you would give them on getting started with their consulting, or if they're already started it, like maybe what they can do to move forward in it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say take a day and sit down with a customer map, Google it or find one online or ask a colleague.
Yeah.
Sit there and fill out your customer map and be willing to cross some things off with, if you're starting from literally, how can I consult in what area? Like, am I a life coach, or am I a business coach, or health and fitness? Or list those things out from the brainstorm and then tailor them down until you have a clear, low-hanging fruit, entry-level service or product that you could sell tomorrow. And you can, because it's that thing that people ask you to do for free all the time.
Yes.
That's your low-hanging fruit. It's the one that you're doing for free for people because you're good at it. So make sure that's on your list, and then think of, well, who could I sell it to and how? And then what could I sell them after that that's a bit more pricey and more intensive or whatever, and then start it. That's my big, like, if there was one tip, do it afraid.
Yeah.
Do it tomorrow, not a week from now. If you need to take a course to get that infrastructure piece we were talking about, do that. Do an online course. Be here. Be present here. I learned so much from these conversations about what I need to do with social media, those pieces. But don't delay. Don't delay, because there won't be a perfect time, and you'll never have a perfect business plan that makes you go, oh, now I'm safe. It's not going to feel safe.
Yep. And that's true. And, the thing, too, is if you delay, what happens is that you actually are not figuring out quicker what you want to do. Because, see, if you don't start, then you keep delaying because you're like, well, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep fine-tuning it. And then you realize when you actually go to do it, that it's not what you wanted, or it's not what people wanted. So it's kind of it's almost a catch-22, I guess you could say, but it's one of those things like you got to get it to just a starting point and then put it out there and see what happens. You guys, I'll tell you, I had my first course. I thought I nailed it. I did all this stuff. It's still around. I gotta fix it up a little bit. I don't know if I still have it public right now, but I built this course on, basically how you can start your own business online quickly and walk you through the steps. And I mean, I filmed it professionally. I had nice, and I say professionally, it was me. But I had the nice lighting. I wore a sweater. Like, I did all this stuff, right? And I labeled it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did everything, but it didn't sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not because the content's not good. The content's good. It's because I put it out before I was ready, before I had people that followed me, who knew me.
Right.
Like, it was when I first started, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm just going to jump into that one. It was a little too big, right? But I figured it out because I did it. And now I can go back and make edits and be able to maneuver with that.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, you don't have to, like, the do it today. It could be revisited. It could sit on a shelf and come back out and be revised. You don't have to quit your day job. My father worked both his full-time employment and ran a company full-time, very lucrative, really had 2 full-time salaries if you look at it financially, for many, many years before he felt comfortable going, okay, I think I can retire from the full-time gig. So if you need to keep working for someone else, that's not like a sin as a business owner.
I say do it.
do that, but don't say, and after that, I'll start my business consulting. Consult now. As long as there's not some conflict of interest, obviously, don't siphon your employer's customers or something like that. Find a way to consult now. Make it your side hustle, your side gig, until it's your full-time gig. And you'll know when. I think that. I believe that anyway.
For sure.
You'll know.
Yeah, and it is surprising. There are nowadays more employers, I feel like, that are more open and willing to having you do that. Because here's the thing, you guys. Of course, you have to check with the non-competes and stuff, but here's the thing. If you're working, let's say I'm I am a business owner, but let me say that I'm like your 9 to 5, right? And you're my employee, and you come up to me and you're like, listen, I'm not going to let this interfere with my work, but I'm really interested in XYZ. I'm going to start doing this on the side for a few friends, family, whatever. Like you can make whatever you want. But the point is like you approach it that way, depending on how your relationship is with your boss and stuff. And there are a lot more bosses these days that are open to that, as long as it doesn't mess with your work that they're paying you for. And here's the thing. That means that you're a more valuable employee to them, because you're doing it on your own time. Therefore, whatever you learn, you're going to bring back to the table, because that's what happens. And you're going to make their workplace even better. So you have to understand that it works in their favor. And these days, they're more open to that, as long as it doesn't mess with what you already have going on. So I really didn't say that really that great, but you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And don't leave behind the parts that intimidate you, like tech. Jump on social media, do Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the things. Just get out there and engage. I think that's so critical. These conversations, engaging, commenting, just forming relationships, not like a schmoozy, networky thing.
Exactly.
Literally just building connections and relationships. That is where my best ideas have come from with this consulting thing, without me intentionally going, I'm going to do this and get 3 ideas from this. I'm actually just like, hey girl, hey, hey Ed, what you talking about today? What you doing? Oh, I need to read that book. Oh, I need that link. Oh, wait, what did you use for that?
Yep.
So open yourself up and engage, especially nowadays in social media, and it will help you know what to do next.
It's so true. It will help you know what to do next. #EdTalkTV. I love that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Micki, for joining us. Please be sure to jump in the comments, share your links so people can find you and connect with you there as well. And I will see you in the after party.
See you soon. Bye, guys.
Right, take care. I'm going to go ahead and let Micki go, and boom, there we go. So that's how we have it. I'm going to move you guys back this way so you don't see the countertop there. So thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If this is your first time, welcome again. It's a little crazy, but it's a live show. It's a live talk show, so that's what happens. That's the kind of stuff that you have to think about when you're tuning in, when you're going over, hey, thanks, Whitney. When you're going over other people's lives, you have to think about what's one thing that you can pull from it. And real quick, I'll mention this because I didn't do it last night because it was kind of late and I didn't want to pop on live. But there was a great question that a friend posted on the timeline, and I forget. I apologize if you see this episode. I forget the name, and I'm not looking at my phone, and we have limited time. But basically, they posted a question about Facebook Lives, and we'll probably get into this discussion next week because we have some guests lined up for tomorrow and Friday. But they were talking about Facebook Lives and if people are feeling overwhelmed now because everyone's starting to go live, right? And long story short, it was a really great conversation. There's a great thread going because of the engagement, right? People were commenting, they were sharing their insights, and I was smiling the whole time I was reading it because it all fits in line with my other business, Stupid Easy, because people are wanting less, not necessarily less Facebook Lives, but they want scheduled lives so that they know when to tune in, and they want shorter episodes, depending on the format. So if it's a talk show like this and you have guests, that's really hard to go really short. I mean, we could totally make this a half-hour show and be, we might test that. But for other people who are just going live, just to go live randomly, it was interesting to see all the feedback from this thread that it's hard because so many people want to tune in to your Facebook Lives, but they don't have time. They don't know when they can. It's easier for them to tune in live if they know when it's going to happen because they can put it on their calendar, right? So if you're going live, the reason I bring all of this up is because if you're going live and you're feeling discouraged because you don't have people showing up, you feel, down because people aren't sharing your content, they're not commenting, any of that stuff, you have to realize that it's okay. It will take time. Like some people don't even see my Facebook Lives. Like some people won't even see this episode for a day or two, or maybe even a week, depending on how Facebook rolls it out, right? So that's why you have to understand, like you just have to show up and deliver. And if you can do it on a set schedule consistently, then you're going to build your audience and have a stronger following. Like you guys can see here, even if this is your first time, you can see that there are so many regulars that tune in every day at the same time, even if we have tech glitches, and hang out because they've made it this time, this 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, their ed time, right? This is their 1 hour to hang out with me and all of you watching because you guys are engaging with each other, right? And so you have to understand like that's now become a set schedule for people. So that's easier for them versus if I just randomly go live here and there and try to have this show, it would be a lot harder for people to show up because they never know when it's going to happen. I had to learn that at the beginning too. So, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. I wanted to just randomly go live. And then I thought when I first started this show, I said, no, I have to make a schedule. Mostly for myself so that I stay committed to it. And it just so happened to work out that it was better for all of us, right? So that's a big one. So have a great rest of your evening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we will see you back here tomorrow, same time, same place. Hopefully no glitches and better lighting. Take care, guys. This episode is sponsored by Stupid Easy. Easily create, share, and sell your online courses. Discover more at stupideasy.com.